Tuchel and his Chelsea players won't be feeling the rain at this stage. They've got themselves a 1-1 draw in Madrid. They have their away goal. They by far will be the happier team as they head to London next week. Hazard, the former Chelsea player, it didn't really happen for him tonight, but Chelsea have that 1-1 draw to reflect on. And I suppose, Damien, I don't know if you can be neutral with Chelsea, but, you know, the game went where we sort of feared it was going to go beforehand in terms of that stalemate stuff in the second half. The first half wasn't like that at all.
No, I think it's a missed opportunity. Granted, the second half was poor, but the first half, and we touched on it at half-time, the opportunities, the situations that Chelsea got into, they'll be going home thinking, yeah, good result, 1-1 draw, away goal to Real Madrid, but they'll still be kicking themselves, I think. But for the two teams, I think it shows the deficiencies, the attacking deficiencies that they both have. Chelsea are the lowest scoring team in the top 7 in the Premier League with 51 goals. I think Real Madrid, it's their lowest scoring tally in 15, 20 years. They rely heavily on Benzema. And I think that really showed tonight. Benzema was their only threat. You're relying on Hazard, albeit 150 million price tag coming on, but he's unfit, he's out of shape. So it did show the deficiencies, but a good result for Chelsea. And please God, it's a better game, the second game. Not sure we're doing it, but I'd still see them edging through. I think they're a better outfit. They lack still something in the attacking third, but for me, they're still a better drilled team. Yeah.
Richie, what did... Because we saw the Real midfield trio against Liverpool and how effective they were that night. What did Chelsea do this evening to stop the Real midfield functioning as well as it did?
I think the Chelsea midfield performance tonight wasn't comparable in any way to what Liverpool put up. But if you think back to Liverpool, how careless they were in possession, really bad, but also didn't really impact Madrid players when they were on the ball, stood off them. We said beforehand how much space Kroos had. I think Naby Keita on that night was taken off before half-time, which gives you an indication of just how anonymous and he was. But you couldn't say that about tonight. I mean, Kante was superb again. His positional sense, his energy, his ability on the ball. So a completely different challenge tonight for Real Madrid. And I think Chelsea will be pleased with the result. They keep a clean sheet in the second leg. They go into the final. There will be the what if, you know, Werner's chance is the obvious one. But the second half just petered out. It just was playing out like two teams who... I don't know whether they're both happy with the result, but they were accepting of the result. Yeah,
and like Zidane's team, we did say this the last day, and it's been mentioned a lot during the course of the season. You went through some of the numbers there in terms of their scoring. Like, apart from Benzema, they're not getting enough of a spread of goals from around the rest of their team. Like, he's done really well to get them this far, and we don't know what's going to happen the next day. They could yet end up winning the thing again.
They could, yeah. Listen, we doubted them last month. I doubted them last month, and they got through. They're still challenging for La Liga. I still think Barca will pip the two teams in that. Obviously in the Champions League, but you could say the same. Zidane's done wonders with what he's got. But you could say the same about Tuchel. For sure. I said he set them up brilliantly. Now, the first thing he said when he come in the door, he wanted to set them up better defensively. Yes, they're a better outfit going forward, but they're still, so like for one of the top teams in the world, they still lack a cutting edge. So he's done wonders to get them into potential Champions League spot for next year, and also the semi-final of the Champions League. So the two managers have done amazing.
No, for sure. Let's have a look at those goals from the first half. Pulisic and then Benzema, Damien.
Yeah, as I touched on half-time there, brilliant run, absolutely top class. So hard to defend. He still does wonders getting around Courtois at the big frame. I think he's 6'7", so brilliant from him. And as Stephen said in commentary, it was strange maybe that they took him off. He was the one bright spark, you'd say, over the hour. Obviously Ziyech and Havertz come on. They'll be kicking themselves with this. Listen, we all set up defensively from corners. We all set up differently. To send one out against a three, maybe they could deal with that better. Obviously lose three first contacts on the ball, but let's not take that away from Benzema. To control it with your head like that is absolutely unbelievable, and the finish is world class, and that's what he's been doing all season. He's had a wonderful season.
Okay. Eden Hazard, Richie, his impact, in inverted commas, on this game, we didn't get to see an awful lot of him, but as you said, he is not fit. Started last for them in January.
It's asking a lot of a player, any player of any ability, when you've had the last, not just since January, but the last year or two that he's had so much time out out of football, but with so many different injuries as well, he just cannot get a run of maintaining fitness at all. And tonight, to expect him to be able to be anywhere near his best, I think is just fanciful stuff. He was caught in possession a couple of times, he looked off the pace a couple of times, did a couple of moments. There were little glimpses of what he can do, but to broaden this out a little bit, I think you asked beforehand, does the new format of the Champions League solve the issues that football are facing? And I said it didn't, but I think one of the big issues that football faces is the situations similar to Hazard's. That a club like Real, in as much debt as they're in, think it's absolutely appropriate to spend well over 150 million on a 29-year-old who's gone on to have a load of injury problems. That can't be predicted, but to think that kind of spending makes sense from a club in their financial position, and there's no sign of them letting it up. Like Haaland is being courted around, and Real are putting themselves in position to sign him. They're talking about wanting to sign Mbappe as well. That's the problem with football, and it's not just a club problem. Agents are promoting it. Players are obviously welcoming those wages. Fans are demanding those signings. It's a sign of ambition and purpose if a club makes those signings, and it's a sign of the opposite if you don't. So financial prudence isn't something that anyone in football is promoting. But while that's the case, all the big clubs are going to still try and outspend each other. Chelsea spent $250 million nearly in the last transfer market. So that's as big a reason why they're in this position as any tactical tweaks of Tuchel's.
Just on, sorry, Dara, on the back of Hazard, you'd worry for him going forward. He's 30, he relies on sharpness, being a quick dribbler. We all know after 30, it's like that. He's never been a top pro, and he's never had the drive of Messi and Ronaldo. If he did, you'd probably be mentioning him with them two players.
He was phenomenal in those few years.
But it's always been aimed at... He turned up his first pre-season at Real Madrid, Galactico, 160 million, overweight, fat. Call it what you want, all right? So you'd worry for him because he's had 11 injuries, and to come back from 11 injuries, and he's hardly played in 2 years, you need to have drive and you need to be a top pro. And I hate aiming it at a player, but it's always been aimed at him anyway.
Well, would you not think he's been, like with 11 injuries, he's been spectacularly unlucky? I take the fitness point. I know there was a famous quote from him saying, if I'm on holiday, I'm on holiday, when he came back in the condition he was in. Get that. But, you know, do you not put a lot of it down to bad luck, or is it the up in his head?
No, listen, the first pre-season he was all right, but you could argue that throughout his career he's always battled with his weight. Like I said, when you've had 11 injuries, to be signed, forget about all that, to be signed for Real Madrid, 160 million, you turn up pre-season, to shape your life, and he turned up overweight because he was on holiday. I ain't having that.
And for him, like to play a meaningful part, he played 24 minutes tonight, 20 minutes against Betis at the weekend. For Zidane, now maybe he'll have the game of his life if he comes on at Stamford Bridge next week. But well, it's a lot to put on him.
I mean, and that's the hope, because he's good enough to do it. He's good enough to create moments in games that others just aren't. But it's very difficult to do that at a level like this when you've been out as long as he has. And I think that point is a really valid one, the thing on how you live your life away from football. Like he's had, like his body is failing him now for the last year or two with a load of different muscular injuries, and how you look after yourself and how you live your life has a big impact on that.
My body started failing me when I was 17.
But look at the career you got out of it and all the success you had. Another very honest assessment from Damien Duff. Thanks very much indeed. That's it from us tonight. Thanks to Damien and to Richie for their contributions.